Hey everybody, welcome back. Jarman International. I'm your host, Gerald Jarman. Thank you for tuning in today. I have a special guest with me again for running it back, Amber Bowers. I had her on the last podcast, and it was just a great time of her sharing based on her experiences, background, upbringing, and also some of her knowledge that she's accumulated over the years. So I wanted to bring her back because I feel like there's more that we can tap into. And always, like I always say, we want to provide things that are beneficial, things that are knowledgeable, things you can apply to your own life, and also pass along to others. So again, thank you for tuning in. Share this with other people. Leave some comments. Let us know how we're doing. Leave me a grade, grade A, B, or we'll stop there. Well, leave me a good grade on how we're doing as we move forward. So anyway, we're gonna hop right into it. I wanna start by asking Amber a question just to kind of talk about, because she's a teacher at a middle school. She's been teaching for 12 years now.
I think like 13.
She's been a teacher for 13 years. So I want to kind of tap into the fact that she's a teacher working with young people, but also she has personal kids as well. So Amber, in light of all that, what would you say are some of the similarities and differences, you can start with either one, between the kids today, the children today that you see, you're working in the schools, compared to when we were children, growing up? What are some of the similarities and differences?
I think with children, some of the similarities are the fact that you learn through experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I think that with my own children, I see, more. My own children will be more than their real selves with me. They'll cry,
Mm-hmm.
they'll show anger, they'll do those things with me, and I'll have to figure out what's going on. Why are they feeling that way? Whereas students at school, as a teacher, sometimes they'll hide them a little bit more and show their parents at home.
Right.
So they may look fine with me, and I don't see any anxiety or I don't see any sadness. But then I'll hear from their parents or a counselor that they're struggling.
Okay.
So I think that overall, I did have stress and anxiety and all of those things looking back and dealing with, middle school life, boys and girls.
Yeah.
Girls can be worse, man. Mean girls, drama, all of those things are still there. They're still the same. However, social media does have a role. I think it can have a really great I think it can play a great role, but it also is all the time. It's constant. It's always in your face. I think that we as parents and teachers need to show the great sides of social media and technology, but also learn how to be a good digital citizen and kind of when to stop and step away and give limitations. That's my opinion on it. I mean, parents can go both ways, but we have a wealth of information at our fingertips at all times. I know that if I had a question, I had to ask my mom. Or I had to figure it out through. Now you can Google anything you want. I can watch a YouTube video and learn how to do anything. So I think that the common trend that we all have is we're human, and we have emotions, and we learn things and through our experiences. That's how you really learn most of how we feel and what we're passionate about. But I think that we also have this constant, I just feel like everything is on overload all the time. Even with sports, I feel like, and maybe it was always like this and I just didn't know. But when I grew up, it was kind of like we were talking about in the last episode, like I played rec league soccer and basketball, and I kind of would do things here and there, and I felt like that's kind of what everybody did. Now everybody's like, I started when I was 3 months old, and I was taking this and that, and I'm like, my kids are only 5 and 8, and I'm like, I feel like I need to have them figure out what they want to do now.
Right.
And
it's more pressure.
I feel very pressured, and I think they feel a little bit more pressured. Everything's just very intense. Everything has a extra class or a special this, or so I think sometimes learning to take a step back and what works for you and your family and for you as a child. I think social emotional learning in schools has been getting better, meaning focusing on kids learning how to deal with stress, anxiety, bullying, friendships, and just social interactions, and how to best do that for themselves.
That's a good point. I think a lot of that has been lacking. I know, as you said, it's getting better, but I think as youth as a whole, not just particular school, but I'm just saying, just young people in general, it just seems like their social skills are taking a hit, just because of the social media aspect, and people and I look at it, and you can see it a lot with teenagers. You don't have a teenager yet, but teenagers don't call. They don't call you on the phone. They text. Like if they want to talk to you, they text you. And I hear you hear funny stories. People talk about families or be together, and it's a funny story, but it probably does happen. They could be in the same house, and they'll text something to their brother, or they'll text their mom or something while they're in the house. Or they'll be at a restaurant and you see a family sitting around a restaurant and everybody has their cell phone out the entire time. Rather than interacting, they're doing this. And then the food comes, oh, it's time to eat. Well, once you eat, then they go home. So when we were growing up, you sat at the dinner table, it was this, and it was interacting. So how was your day? All that kind of stuff. Do you take time with your kids, to have that, dinner time, okay, we're gonna talk, or set aside time to make sure you keep that interaction, because that's important. Do you actually do that?
We do. I have to say, every night, I want to say no. I wish we did it every night. I think, again, activities.
Yeah.
You're on the run a lot. It'll be like, okay, you get home from work and school, and then you have gymnastics and soccer and wrestling and here and there, and you're grabbing this on the go. So on those types of nights, you're just grabbing stuff as you go. My husband is actually the cook, and he's the one that I feel like we'll do the whole set the dinner table, and we're gonna eat dinner at the table. And I want to say that now that the kids are getting older, and again, when they were babies,
right,
whole nother thing, they're eating a different thing. You have to do it.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on your part of life. But as the kids are getting older, we're making sure that they're aware that this is an expectation for us at our home. I also think though that parents, sometimes we can be just as bad. I have, as a teacher, I have students emailing me, and everything, again, it doesn't stop. Everything, my emails are coming through on my phone, and for me, I feel like I should answer.
Right.
So it might be me at the table answering an email to help a student.
Yeah.
But you still need to put it down, put it away. I think we try to limit the time they spend, but that can be a fight. And then so I think making the priorities in your family and what are they doing? Because again, technology can be good in sometimes, but I never thought in a million years. My daughter is the only one in the house. Last year, 2 years ago, we got her an Alexa, like an Amazon little dot, and it's a kid's version. I really didn't know I thought she would listen to music sometimes on it. She at night will have stories read to her. She at night will, she uses it as she'll put on calming music to calm her mind. She will listen to podcasts and listen to science podcasts. So there's like some great things too. You know, that I think using those meditation parts, there's even apps that are about meditation and helping you to deal with your stress.
Wow.
So I think learning what works for you and knowing when to put your phone down. The the technology companies, I've noticed that my new iPhone, newer, will even say like it's bedtime, and it will silence my notifications until that morning. Yeah, and it won't, which is really nice because it won't ring or buzz or beep or whatever. So I appreciate that that's starting to happen instead of making us want to look at our phone again and helping us to kind of go, okay, I've been on this, I need to put it down.
Right. So we're kind of shift gears a little bit, still centered around the social media aspect. So because social media really dominates our personal life, social life. I mean, social media is such embedded in our society today that you can't get away from it. Okay, you can limit it, but you can't get away from it. So let me ask you this: what role do you think social media has played in regards to discrimination, racial injustices, social injustice? Because you know, there was a point, and maybe just in the summer, going to the fall, where the social and racial tension was high. Now it has calmed down some, you know, but in the summer, and then like I said, after the George Floyd situation, tensions were high. Everybody was at each other, and Black Lives Matter, and you know, just it was so many different things popping up, and you know, Antifa, just different things. So. What role do you think social media has played, if any, in maybe not creating it, but fostering all of that?
I think it has for sure played a role in good and bad ways. I think that in a good way, it's brought a lot of light to situations and videos and being able to see it. I think seeing something, for me personally, seeing it is hard, but I think that it helps you to empathize and understand in case you don't. I know for me personally, I follow some of, you know, my friends who are Black and who can educate me on things I don't understand, and that I feel comfortable with talking to and asking questions, and I won't feel like I'm going to be attacked for asking a question. I think that's a lot of sometimes people. I try to talk to people in my circle that may be white, and we'll have discussions. That's what we always say. Like, we're not fighting.
Right.
But I know that one person sees this view and I see this view, and we try to help each other to understand the other person's view and truly try to be open to that. Amber Sessoms is a amazing, wonderful, beautiful Black woman in our school district. And I've learned a lot just from reading her posts. Just from, and the fact that I can relate to her. Like, I know her.
Right.
You know, and it's just not someone that online that I don't know, are they telling the truth, are they not, are they, I don't know them. So I think for me, I make sure to follow people that I want to learn from and not a toxic. I don't like seeing the threads of arguing and bashing each other. I don't think that helps anybody. And I don't think it's setting a good example for our children. So I think that overall, I think it's good, it brings light, but I do think that we said this in the past episode, we need to follow people We need to like groups or follow people that we disagree with, so it continues to show on our feed so we can learn.
Yeah.
And not just confirm what we already feel.
Right. So, well, I definitely agree with you on that, because I actually do that myself, and you and I have had some good conversations, just talking about different things. But one thing is the fact that both of us are open to hear too. So I think there has to be an openness, a genuineness to understand. So in saying that, do you feel that as a nation, we're headed in the right direction? Do you think it's possible that we could bridge the gap? Do you think it's possible that we can bring healing and restoration? Because I know this, Amber, like a lot of people have had falling outs over the summer and fall with friends. Whether it's on social media, you hear people talk about social media. I'm not friends with such and such no more. They're not friends, or people have unfriended you. Like a lot of that happened throughout this last season, and I've heard people say, I had no clue they were like this, or I went to school with them and I didn't know they felt like that. I didn't know their views was like that. So, so in light of all that, do you think we're heading in the right direction? Do you think it's possible that we can mend our differences, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it needs to happen. I think it's definitely possible. I think that our country has gone through a lot in this 2020 year. I think that between coronavirus and Black Lives Matter and protests, and there has been so much that it's hard for people, that I think we took a step back, which hopefully will bring us some steps forward. I think that a lot of times change takes sometimes this uncomfortable, horrible things that have been happening, I think will create change. I think that the students and the children coming up are going to be more empathetic. I think they're living through this, through everything that's going on in their childhood. This is just part of their childhood, right?
Right.
Like when we went through things in our childhood, we might have not known to the extent how it was shaping the history that was happening right then.
Right.
So they're going through that now, and I'm hoping that it will affect our country in a good way eventually. But again, it takes time. It takes these conversations. It takes little by little. Change takes time, and I'm hoping that our country does change for the better. But I think we're always going to have people, there's always going to be people against that.
Oh yeah.
And change is scary. Change is scary for a lot of people, and I think that's the other thing. It's not always that you are against something. It's like, well, like maybe they like their life now, and well, if I agree with that, is that going to change now my life? And what I like, that is scary for a lot of people.
Yeah. I always say this, Amber, without a challenge, there can be no change.
Right.
And I preach that in sports. I'm coaching, certain kids who have, maybe they're deficient in certain areas. When I'm watching and training them, I may point out, things I see they got to work on, or I'll say redo that. They might do a drill wrong, or maybe they should be handling the ball with the right hand and they got it in the left hand, and because the right hand isn't strong. So I'll point that out and say, okay, you need to redo that, do it over. But then I always add to that, hey, without a challenge, there could be no change.
Right.
So, we can't be afraid of being challenged.
Right.
For me, growing up, I was challenged in different ways when it came to basketball. I appreciated someone corrected me, and they call it constructive criticism. You know,
Right.
I appreciated that because otherwise, if I'm not being corrected and if I just stay in my lane how I'm going to end up somewhere I don't want to be.
Right.
So we have to be open to constructive criticism in order to grow as people. You know, like we should be constantly trying to sharpen ourselves, sharpen, develop, hearing things outside of our realm of influence, just so that we can grow as people. Because if you're not open to that, you're going to stunt your growth. You know what I'm saying? So before we wrap up, do you have any other thoughts along these lines? Anything you want to share with the viewers? In light of what we've been talking about.
On the way driving here, I was listening to a podcast, and I think this is a good way to end. The podcast was with an astronaut who just spent all this time in space, and they were saying, well, how do you feel about people being able to get in these rockets, or I don't know what you call it, and being able to go to space like other just regular people that aren't astronauts? And he said, I think it's fantastic. And they said, really? I'm surprised that you think that's fantastic since you work so hard to do that.
Right.
And he said, when you're up in outer space and you look at Earth and you see this, he said it's the most beautiful blue you've ever seen for the water, and you see the green, but he goes, you can't really see the people. You might be able to make out certain cities or things, and he goes, but you see how beautiful our world is, and there's no barriers, there's no dividing lines, there's no political lines, there's no color lines, there's nothing. We're just on this same world together. And I thought that was really powerful.
Wow.
Coming here and talking about diversity. Like, we're all human, and unfortunately sometimes we feel like we're against each other. And I think that for the world, for all of us, I mean, it's so cliche to say like a world peace, but we're all living on this same planet. And I just thought that was really cool. And he said, I think that he was describing how beautiful it was and how he felt like it would change people's mind to go, wow, like we're all in this together, truly.
Wow.
So.
That's interesting. That's an interesting perspective that he has. And that's a perspective that you probably only can get if you.
Yeah, he even mentioned, I mean, went into the environment too, but like how thin the barrier is.
I know what you're talking about.
We're really good. Well, he'll fact check this later, but how thin the barrier was and how delicate, the earth is in general, and how delicate we are as people.
Wow.
So I thought it was just a good way to look at it. Try to be empathetic and be kind to other people, and try to truly put yourself in their shoes and how you would feel. Sometimes that's hard to do. But I think that overall, that's what we need to do for each other in order to grow and to learn for the next generation coming through.
Yeah. Wow, this was good. I want to thank you, Amber,
Thank you for having me.
For coming on these 2 episodes. It's been great. Always enjoy hearing your perspective, and hopefully, as an audience, you enjoyed it. You got something out of it. Share this with other people. Please share this, like it. Let other people know what's going on. Hopefully, our lives are the better from hearing and seeing this dialogue. All right, so we're going to sign off. Thank you again for tuning in. Go to my website, go to our YouTube channel, and check us out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And always remember, you're destined for greatness. We'll see you next time.